So until now we created the snake, but the snake just moves too fast. So I'm going to add an interval to this movement in the main.lua. So in love.load I'm going to create a variable called interval, and I'm going to set it to 20. And in the love.update function I'm going to subtract from interval, so interval equals interval -1. Not interval, just interval. So I'm going to decrement interval always by -1. And here I'm going to ask if interval is less than 0, then I'm going to update the game, and I'm going to set back interval to 20 again and end the if. So now our snake will move much slower. And as you can see, as it moves with the increments of 30 pixels. So right, left, up, and down. Okay, now let's go to the game.lua, and I'm going to add an apple. So first of all, I'm going to create some new local variables. One will be the just size, and it will be 30, and I'm naming it with capitals because it won't be changed, so it is some kind of a constant, although in Lua I don't know, but there are no constants. So local size equals 30, and also I'm going to create a local apple x, just give it 0, and a local apple y, and also give it 0. And here in the game draw function I'm going to draw the apple. So first I'm going to set its color, so love.graphics.setColor, and the apple will have a yellowish color. So for the red I'm going to give it a 0.8, for the green 0.9, for the blue 0.0, and for the alpha 1.0. And here just draw the rectangle, so love.graphics.rectangle. The fill mode will be, or the mode will be fill. The position x will be apple x times 30. The y position will be apple y times 30. The width 30, the height also 30, and of course the rx and the ry also 10 and 10. So now let's run it, but first of all always just save it. And now we have an apple here in the upper left corner at 0, 0 position. And now just change this add apple functionality so it will randomly pick a position. Okay, here I'm going to change snake x times 30 to snake x times this size. Also here times this size, and also when I draw the apple times this size, and size is 30. So now here in the add apple, I'm going to call the mat modules random seed, and give it the os.time. So it will generate always a random seed value based on the operating system's time. So apple x will be equal to random or mat.random, and give it the size and -1, and also apple y will be equal to mat.random and also size -1. So I'm picking size -1 because I don't want to have a random value on x or y 30, because if it picks 30, then it will be, the apple will be off screen. So I want to have random values between 20 and 0 and 29. So that's why I'm subtracting 1 from the size. And yes, now save this file, and every time when I run the application in the Love2d, I'm going to call the add_apple function, add apple, so this function. Now let's run it. So it just randomly picked a value for the apple. I'm going to quit and run it again. So now the apple is here. Let's run it again. Now the apple is here. So as you can see, it always picks a random value between 0, which means if it picks, let's say, 0 on x and 0 on y, the apple will be here in the upper left corner. If it picks 29 on x and 29 on y, it will be here on the lower right corner. So that's why I just subtracted 1 from the size, because if it picks 30, then it will be here somewhere, so outside the screen. And once again, now it picked this position. Okay. The next thing I'm going to add is here in the game update. After I'm setting the snake X and the snake Y's position, I'm going to add an if statement. So if the snake X equals apples X and the snake Y equals apple Y, then it means then that the snake collides with the apple. So then I'm going to call the add apple, so add apple function, so it will randomly pick a new position for the apple. And I'm also here, I'm just going to end this if statement, and I'm also going to create here another local variable, which will be local, not local, but local, and tail length, and it will start at 0, then length, okay, so tail length, so it will start at 0, and when I collide with an apple, I will also increment tail length, so tail length equals tail length plus 1. So add apple will just call this function which will randomize the apple's position. So let me show you. So I'm going to move towards the apple and now up. So now the apple is here, and once again down, and as you can see now the apple is reappeared in a different position. Okay, so in my prototype game, when I went out from the screen with my snake, it just reappeared in the other side of the screen. So now I'm going to implement this functionality. So okay, go to the game update function, and after this snake x equals apple x, I'm going to ask another create another if statement. So if the snake x is less than 0, then snake x will be equal to the size, which is 30 minus 1. Yeah. And just run it so I can show you. I run it. Of course, I need to end my if statement. So now save and run it. So I'm going to move left, and it should reappear in the right side. Okay. Now do this for the right of the screen. I'm in the width of the screen. So we need to check for snake x. If it is greater than the size minus 1, then snake x will be equal to 0. Now here we are checking for the left side of the screen, and here we are checking for the right side of the screen. So save it and run it. Now let's move to right, and it should reappear here. Okay. And now do this for the top and the bottom of our screen. So else if snake y is less than 0, then snake y is equal to size minus 1. Here I'm just going to format it a little bit. And else if snake y is bigger than the size minus 1, then snake y is equal to 0. So now here we are checking for the up of this the top of the screen. So if it is less than 0, then set the snake's y position to size minus 1, and size is 30, so size minus 1 is 29. So just let's run it. So now I'm going upwards, and it should reappear here. Okay, I'm going now downwards, and it should reappear here. So now we have a simple method. I mean, the game is now a little bit easier to play, because in the original snake game, when you collide with the walls, you die. But as I said, our snake will only die when it collides with itself.